Let's head on over to Dr. Batson. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mr. Carter. How are you doing, sir? Hello, good morning. You hearing me? Hello? Something wrong here.
Dr. Batson, let me hear you again. Let me see if you're loud and clear.
Yeah. Hello, you hear me now?
All right. We are not hearing you on this end. If you could hear me, Shaki, where are you?
Hear us now? Carter? Hello? Everything in sync. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Carter?
Something come up just now. They were saying something with your device connected to something, your audio.
Oh, let me.
Okay, let me apologize. The Zoom was muted on our end. Shaki, you did what you had to do, Shaki. It's on our end, Shaki.
Yes, sir. Good morning. So you hear me clearly now?
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, sir. Let me say a pleasant good morning. Yeah. Let me say a pleasant good morning to the listeners of Sky 99.5. Always a pleasure to be in your company. This rainy Sunday morning. Rain that I think a lot of people are glad for. I most certainly am. This morning, of course, we're discussing health from a natural and integrated perspective. And we'll be primarily targeting issues or diseases of the central nervous system. So we're going to be talking about things like pins and needles, cramping in your cars, burning on their feet, or what is known as neuropathy. We also will be discussing what is known as myasthenia gravis, which of course is a condition that significantly affects the nerves and the muscles. We're going to be touching on fibromyalgia. So that's the avenue that we're going on this morning, for want of a better expression. And of course, it is an interactive program. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to WhatsApp and call as we normally do. Keep in mind, we are live on our social media platforms. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. On YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. And on TikTok, Dr. Batson. So feel free to add us, share us, like us. Of course, you know, the information there is bountiful. A lot of information there for you to get and get yourself in a gear, as we say. Let me say a pleasant good morning to Miss Vidya Abdul. She's in the house. Becca, she says, great Sunday morning, Dr. Batson, and all the listeners. Miss Pamela Moses, good morning, Doc. Miss Jennifer Valentine on our Instagram, of course, our loyal very satisfied customer in Texas. She always makes sure and give us a shout out and ask the necessary questions. Master Your Purpose in Life has also joined us. So, keep it coming, guys. And of course, those of you who listening at home, I know most of the time, this time is church. So a lot of you may be on your way to church. Some of you may be in church already. In fact, let me just say we're going to be having a live tonight. We're going to do our live from 8, and that's going to be 8 to 9:30. And I actually have a special guest with me, Miss Karishma Ramdan, who's one of our consultants at Batson and Associates. She'll be joining me for that program. And that, of course, is going to be a question and answer. So if for some reason, you might be a little shy, or, you don't know how exactly to frame or phrase the question you want to ask, well, then, of course, you can do that on any one of our social media. And then tonight, I would be able to go through those questions and try and answer as much questions as I possibly can together with Ms. Ramdan. So take that into consideration. We do have our marathon clinic days. Which I'll be highlighting as we go along, especially with Tobago. Let me say a pleasant good morning to Tobago. I was fortunate enough to be there earlier this month, and of course, we had the opening of our new office. And, we getting things done. Persons actually came and, we having our blood analysis, our magnetic resonance analysis scan done. And that's something that we didn't have there because of the work that we was doing. And of course, we changed equipment, updated stuff, that type of thing. So, all good for everyone there. And of course, we are ensuring that we provide that necessary information for you guys. Keep in mind our clinic locations and telephone numbers. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That is Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. That telephone number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. And Debe is the corner of Ramson Mooch Trace and the SS Erie Main Road in Debe. That telephone number for Debe is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. The number for St. James, of course, is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. Next week, St. James is actually having their marathon clinic start, where I'll be in that office next week, Friday, Saturday, and then Monday and Tuesday of the following week. I'll give you the dates as we go along. And of course, Tobago as well would be getting their own. That is going to be, I believe, the 29th, the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd. So that's going to be those 6 days. But as I said, as we go along, we go accordingly. And the number for Tobago, of course, and location, that is the Triangle Building in Scarborough. That telephone number for Tobago is 226-4553. Again, that's 226-4553, as well as 312-4248. That's 312-4248. And that's for the Tobago office there in the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. Mr. Carter, sir, you could, of course, remind them on your end as to how they can communicate with us, and then we will move along.
Those numbers are 625-2759 and 624-7729. Let me repeat that. That's 625-2759 and 624-7729. And you can also send your WhatsApp messages at 333-9950. Back to you, Dr. Batson.
Nice. Honey Bay is in the house. She says, good morning, Doc Shakil. Good morning to staff and viewers. Miss Augustine Florestine is also with us. Pleasant good morning to you. So as I said before, we're discussing imbalances or diseases of the central nervous system. Now, that's very broad in its scope, but we know the importance of the central nervous system. So that's fundamentally your nerves. So that has to do with your mental state of mind. It has to do with sleep. It has to do with your ability to react and respond to stimuli or touch, right? It is going to have a lot also to do with one's mental ability or mental state of mind. So, for example, if you were to categorize, mental illness is also an aspect associated with issues with the central nervous system, you know. So when you're speaking about, first of all, neuropathy is the first thing we're going to touch. So what is neuropathy? Well, you have different types of neuropathy. You have neuropathy that is known as diabetic neuropathy, but you also have neuropathy that is just general. So in other words, you do not necessarily have to be a diabetic to have neuropathy. But most diabetics end up with neuropathy, and we'll, of course, discuss that. The reason for that is because of the issue associated with poor circulation. So we know poor circulation contributes significantly. It's not the only cause, but it contributes significantly to neuropathy. Now, what really is neuropathy? So neuropathy is technically considered a situation where the nerves themselves, the nerve endings, have been compromised. And as a result of that, you have this feeling of neuropathy, which is like pins and needles, cramping in your calves, burning on their feet. Some people would say they feel as if they're walking on water. Some persons would explain it as they say they feel as if there's air bubbles under their foot. So you know, people would mention or they would explain it in different terms, but fundamentally it's the same thing. So if you're having those feelings where you have like pins and needles, cramping in your calves, burning under your feet, colloquially they say junjuni. If you have feelings where you feel you're walking on water or you feel you're walking on air bubbles, you know, you're just not getting that feeling, or the feeling is coming and going. That is a serious indication of neuropathy. Now, as I mentioned before, you can have neuropathy and not have diabetes, as well as most diabetics, if you don't know how to deal with your diabetes properly, are going to end up with situations with neuropathy. Now, that is a very concerning thing, because I'll tell you why. Remember, circulation significantly affects your nerves. How so? We know the importance of blood circulation, right? Basic biology. Blood is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients to what? Cells, right? I would have said this on numerous occasions as a reminder. So the thing is, it transports oxygen and nutrients to your cells. Cells give you tissues, tissues give you organs, organs give you organ systems, and organ systems give you the body, right? So we know if you have, let's say, a bone cell, because there are cells in your bones, they have osteocytes. In fact, there are many different types of cells in the, excuse me, the musculoskeletal system. So a bone cell, or what is referred to in this particular case, an osteocyte, is a cell, and a combination of osteocytes would give you bones. Bones would now give you the musculoskeletal system, and then musculoskeletal system and other systems are what comprise the body. So that's just basically to explain that you need to have blood being transported to cells themselves. So the reason persons end up with neuropathy as it relates to poor circulation is because those cells or those nerves were not being fed properly. They're not being nourished. It's like you have a plant and you're not wetting the plant, right? It's going to eventually die. So as a result of that, and then different nourishment, things like nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, those type of things would be the necessary requirement for plants. I mean, as regards to human beings, we know our nutritional requirement is very broad. The thing is, not much people know that. So it's not just a matter of, protein, carbohydrates, lipids, fats, that type of thing. But of course, you have your macronutrients, micronutrients, and then you have things like anthocyanins, and the list goes on and on. Because when you're dealing with clinical nutrition, you're dealing with nutrition on a broad scope. Good? So to the persons who having or experiencing that problems, and that's why a lot of the times diabetic persons, they can be damaged and they don't know, because that sense of touch, their reaction to stimuli is significantly compromised. So you could be diabetic, and God forbid you're outside in the yard, you walk on a nail, something sticky in your foot, and you don't know. And then, of course, because of that neuropathy situation and poor circulation, that could become seriously problematic. I mean, you could actually lose limbs as a result of that. Neuropathy is also one of the reasons why people end up amputees. So keep in mind, it's very important that you pay attention to yourself. Remember, you are your first respondent where your health is concerned. Interestingly, this week I was actually hearing on the news, excuse me, that the Ministry of Health was advising. They said, I think like 35% of the population has hypertension. And they were also saying that a lot of persons have hypertension and they don't know, which is what I've been saying for years. And they also mentioned that it is very important that you have some sort of blood pressure apparatus in your house. And I totally agree with that. And that is something that I've been helping you all know. That's something I've been saying for years. It's very important to know your numbers. And the reason why it is important to know your numbers is that you can prevent severe adversity. You could prevent serious issues associated with poor health. A lot of the times, we don't really pay attention to what we're supposed to do. And, because I'll give you an example. As we're discussing circulation, we're discussing neuropathy. A lot of the times, people with neuropathy don't realize how the neuropathy significantly comes about as a result of this particular situation associated with poor circulation. So in other words, the worse your circulation is, the worse your neuropathy is going to be. But keep in mind that you can have neuropathy that is not primarily caused by poor circulation. How so? Let me explain quickly. A lot of the times you can have neuropathy associated with vitamin deficiency. Now, one of the things we have to take into consideration, because you'll hear people saying, okay, I'm taking this vitamin, I might be taking this particular supplement, but I'm not feeling well. So we know one of the key components is to do what? We are supposed to digest or assimilate our food properly. And that's the next thing. A lot of persons do not assimilate food properly. And the reason for that, a number of reasons could contribute to that. Eating and drinking simultaneously, serious gastrointestinal problems. Some of us, we work and we try our best not to miss meals, but sometimes because of work, you're in a situation where you have no other choice. You might be in meetings, whatever the case may be. And that particular day might be a busy day. I always tell professionals the best thing you can do for yourself in that situation, especially if you're in an office environment, which is conducive to making things like a tea, you might have access to a kitchen, that type of thing. At least if you're not getting to eat on time, try and have your hot cup of teas so that at least you do not build that amount of gas in the intestines, because that contributes to a lot of problems. Because you remember, gas is just that, right? Gas. So it means that when you stay hungry, for whatever reason, for an entire day now, and you go home and you're going to be famished, you're going to be very, very hungry, to go and eat food on top of all that gas. No. You're creating serious problems, because what you're going to actually do is create air pockets in the intestines, and that causes a lot of problems. That's how we have problems with a lot of flatulence, gas, bloating. It can actually reach the point where it could actually end up being acid reflux. And of course, that's something that you don't really want. So, it's very important to pay close attention to those things, as I mentioned. And of course, if you're experiencing those things, you could, of course, one of the things we do at Batson and Associates. So how would we deal with a neuropathy patient? How would we know? Well, one of the first things we need to do is assess how bad your circulation is. Yes. One of the first things we need to do is determine how bad your circulation is as it relates to the neuropathy situation. How are we going to do that? That's where blood analysis comes in. So the thing is, we know blood is like a mirror. It is basically a reflection of the internal aspect of your body. Now, more so than others actually realize, and I'll give you an example. So at Batson and Associates, we do something called live nutritional blood analysis. Now, blood we know is the most tested serum because it carries the most information in it, primarily. Well, a lot of information. And the reason for that is that blood is able to tell past, present, and future. I'll say it again. So blood has the ability to tell the practitioner, the doctor, whoever is doing your blood analysis, your scan. Let me say a pleasant good morning to our very hard-working consultants at Batson and Associates. So apart from myself, let me say a pleasant good morning to Ms. Karishma Ramdan. She would be actually joining me tonight on the live, Mr. Rene Bustamante, Mr. Stefan Vialva, and of course, Mr. Paul Green. Pleasant good morning to you guys. And these are primarily the consultants at Batson and Associates. They will do your blood analysis, they'll do your magnetic resonance analysis scan, and give you an in-depth explanation as regards to what is going on with you. So, as I was saying, as it relates to the circulation and doing the blood analysis, blood has the ability to tell you past, present, and future. I'll explain. So, because we know blood passes everywhere in the human body, you know that, right? So, and then we know that blood is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients. Now, the thing is, in passing in different parts of the body, the blood is actually going to pick up certain things. And blood contains something known as antigens. And antigens are what they would look for if they're doing specific blood testing and that type of thing, especially when you're looking at things like hematology and that type of thing. So it's very important that blood is examined properly. Now, from the visual aspect of blood, one of the things you're able to see. So how does blood tell you past? One of the things it's going to actually be able to say is that if you have problems with your liver, or if you have a fatty liver, how so? The thing is, people with fatty livers, in a blood analysis, one of the things you actually see fat deposits in the blood. Now, remember, you would have fasted for a period of time. So under normal circumstances, that is not supposed to be there. If we're seeing it at that particular point in time, and then depending on the color and the contour and that type of thing, we would have an idea how long it's there. So it means now that visibly, or visually rather, it is showing that you have problems with fat buildup in the body and in the blood primarily. Because if you're seeing it, remember, we're taking one drop of blood, capillary blood, and compare that to the vast amount of blood that you have in the human body. It means if you're seeing that much fat in that small percentage of blood, you can imagine if it is you look at it in its entirety. So we actually could tell people if they have blocked arteries, we just would not be able to tell you the extent of the blockage. But we could tell it actually shows up in there. So notice I said it is telling you past, present, and future. So present in the sense that it is telling us your diet or your dietary practices. But future, it is telling you what? It could tell you a number of things. It could tell you that you are an early candidate for a stroke, whether it's an ischemic or a hemorrhagic stroke. It can also tell you that you are a perfect candidate for a myocardial infarction, which is the medical term for a heart attack. So that's how it's telling your future. And that's one of the advantages with integrated medicine and what we do at Batson and Associates, in the sense that the objective is always to keep the patient or keep the client out of severe danger. Because remember, at the end of the day, you want to be proactive, or you should want to be proactive as regards to your health. The thing is, most of us are not, for a number of reasons. You know, some is lack of knowledge, some is just plain delinquency, some is just, finding your balance, because we have to manage so many different things, children, whatever the case may be, family, work. So to actually take care of yourself sometimes is challenging. But I'll tell you this, it always pays to take care of yourself. The old people have a saying, and I remember when I was younger, I used to be hearing my great grandmother saying it. I was very young and I didn't understand it as early as I think until I became aware of myself, maybe 4 or 5 years. And she always used to say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I was like, an ounce of prevention better than a pound of cure. But remember, at that age, you know nothing about pound, you don't know pound, you know ounces, maybe 3 or 4 years. But the thing is, when I reached an age of understanding, excuse me, I was actually able to know, okay, when you compare ounce to a pound, is 1 to 16. So there's a ratio of 1 to 16. So it means that it in the grand scheme of things, it is better to do the least within that space at a time there, to be proactive, so that in the long run, you don't end up almost spending 16 times the amount. But it's not really 16, it's going to be way more than that. But the thing is, it is being proactive and to prevent you from those type of things. So that's how blood actually is able to tell you future. And I mean, not to be coming across condescending in any way. I remember dealing with a client some years ago, and this had happened to me more than one occasion. And at that time, I was actually doing the blood analysis. Of course, the consultants would pick it up, and it's going to be in the report when I'm reviewing it. And one of the things that I found in dealing with this particular client is that I saw those fat deposits that I'm speaking about. And it was a lot. It was a lot. They actually had something known as protoplast. And protoplast is a solid piece of matter that you normally see in the blood. Protoplast is usually about 4 to 10, in some cases 4, 10, 15. It could be 100, well, 10 times the size of a blood cell itself. So it's much larger than the blood. And remember, the blood cell, sorry. And remember, when you have those large things, because that's how plaque is formed. Plaque is formed when you have tears in the endothelial lining of the blood vessels. So all the blood vessels line with cells known as endothelial cells. And these cells play a significant role in the whole aspect associated with circulation, cardiovascular health, that type of thing, right? Now, the thing is, when you get tears in the endothelial lining, the body's response is to heal, right? So what the body's do, the body's going to send some platelets there. But that plug that it creates, if your diet is one that, or I shouldn't say necessarily a diet, but if you present high levels of fat, it means that when that is passing through the bloodstream, it's going to become attached to that plug that the body has just provided to block or to clog that particular tear in the lining of the blood vessels. So the thing is, imagine if you have those tears consistently throughout the cardiovascular system. That's how people get heart attacks. You don't get a heart attack just so. Now, granted, in one of the things they look at homocysteine. They look at your homocysteine levels, because once your levels of homocysteine is high, it means your likelihood of getting a heart attack is significantly higher. That's one of the markers that they look at. They also look at cardiac. Well, if they think you had a heart attack, when they do blood tests, they actually look at cardiac enzymes, because once those enzymes are present, it means there was some form of myocardial infarction, some sort of heart attack that actually you underwent. Because the thing is, there are heart attacks that are silent heart attacks. Just like there are strokes that are silent strokes. They call them TIAs, which are transient ischemic attacks. So the point I'm making again, so you all understand the reasoning, right? So past, present, future. It is actually saying future. And as I was saying, I remember seeing this particular amount of protoplast and fat in this particular person's blood. And I told them, I said, you need to be careful, you know. These are, if this gets worse, you can actually get a stroke or you can have a heart attack. And of course, a year and a half after, they came back to me and they came back in a wheelchair. And of course, they had a stroke. They didn't have one, in fact, I think they had like three. And the person said, Dr. Batson, had I listened to you? So I'm just saying that to help you to understand that is the importance of being proactive. That is what we do at Batson and Associates. It's a matter of helping individuals to understand. Listen to me. This is what we're seeing. This is what is going to happen if you do not correct the situation. Because the thing is, there are laws to anatomy and physiology, just like there are laws to everything. The body has specific laws. And if those blood vessels that you have, which comprise arteries, capillaries, veins, which in terms of distance, if they were to attach themselves, they could actually make the circumference of the earth 2.5 times. You know that, right? If you were to take all the blood vessels in the human body, you could research it. Veins, capillaries, arteries, and you attach them to each other, they can make the circumference of the earth 2.5 times, which is 66,000 miles. The surface area of the endothelial lining, those linings that are so important to nitric oxide and so important to proper vasodilation and vasoconstriction. It is said that the surface area of the entire cardiovascular system as regards to the arteries, the capillaries, and the veins, I think could actually be the size of maybe 4 tennis courts in terms of surface area. Because remember, all these things are coiled. They're wrong. They're like what's the best? It's like hose. It's or like a hose. So the thing is, if you were to cut a hose and spread out the hose, the surface area is going to be larger because remember the hose is a coiled or a circular rather. So the thing is, if you were to cut it all the way down and you flatten it, you realize the surface area you have there, right? So that's why the surface area is so extensive. And that was just to help you to understand that is how blood is actually able to tell you past, present, and future. Now, present is going to be able to tell us, of course, your eating habits. So, the thing is, if you have problems with digestion, your blood cells are going to form themselves in a particular pattern. And when we see that pattern, we know that this person has serious gastrointestinal problems. Why? Because the blood cells are supposed to be what? Wrong. Remember your red blood cells are what? Round, essentially, and they concave. So the thing is, if you're seeing your blood cells misshaped, especially in that particular aspect of the blood analysis, I mean, it could point to other things like different blood issues like thalassemia, even people who are sicklers. If you do a blood analysis on someone who has sickle cell, you're actually able to see it. And of course, that has to do with iron and magnesium deficiency. And I tell you, sickle cell is not a hard thing to fix. As ridiculous as it might sound to some people, I have had sicklers that we have helped significantly, because what it is really an indication of serious deficiency in the blood. Now, when we do blood analysis, one of the things we also able to see is the condition of your musculoskeletal system, your bones. How so? Now, in blood analysis, you can actually see certain mineral buildup on the blood cells themselves. So if we see calcium, because you could make out what calcium looks like and certain minerals, it means we know this person have a problem with the thyroid, because we know the thyroid is the gland that is responsible for what? Well, your thyroid has like hundreds of different functions, but one of the functions of the thyroid is that it is responsible for removing calcium from your bones to go into your blood. So it's the thyroid that has to signal for the amount of calcium to leave the warehouse for calcium, which is your bones, to go into your blood to continually keep the blood at an alkaline level. Because remember, blood is alkaline, right? Blood is 7.3 something around there. Oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood may be just off by about 0.5. But the point is, blood is alkaline and has to remain alkaline. When people tell you have acid blood, you cannot have acid blood. You'll die, right? What you may have is different aspects of acid in different parts of the body, because what your body does is actually store acid or put acid in different places to prevent you from becoming overly acidic. Right? The thing is, if it reaches a point where you're severely dehydrated, you're not taking care of yourself, then you end up in what we call crisis. And then that's when you end up in the emergency room. Because when you end up in crisis, any market play, as the old people say, any market play there. So that's one of the things to pay attention. So, if you really want to find out what is going on with you, you may not have a particular problem, or you may have a problem. You may not have a problem and you want to be proactive. Definitely take advantage of that special that we have at Batson and Associates with that blood analysis. So you get a live blood, a dry blood. You get what is known as magnetic resonance analysis. I'll tell you how telling a blood analysis is. One of the things we had gotten a client by us who they came, they had a number of issues. One was depression, one was anxiety, one was insomnia, and they also had blood count, low blood count. Now, the thing is, they didn't say that they had low blood count. But when I saw the blood pressure, I said, but why your blood pressure so low? The person's blood pressure was 95. So the systolic, the top number was 95, and the diastolic was 80. So you see that, right? So I said, but you have low blood count. It was a female. She said, well, I don't know. I said, well, yes, you do. Because I say, do you normally test your blood pressure? She said, well, not really. I said, but usually when you go to a doctor and they test the blood pressure in the times that you would have done it, how the blood pressure normally reads? She says usually very low. It's like 90 something. The most she says it goes up to is like 102. I said, but do you have problems with your menstrual cycle? Do you have a heavy flow? She said, yes. I said, do you have problems with weakness, lightheadedness? She said, yes. I said, but you have low blood count. She said, well, okay. I said, okay, no problem. So when I was doing the blood analysis now, there's in the dry blood, we see something known as biological terrain. And a quick explanation, what biological terrain is, it gives you the opportunity to understand the environment from the biological perspective. So if your environment is conducive to disease, you're going to be sick. If it's conducive to healing, then you're going to be healthy. Now, the thing is, in this particular, but this person has a number of issues: depression, anxiety, insomnia, low blood count. Good. When the dry blood analysis was picked up and we looked at it, in the biological terrain, you actually able to, so what biological terrain tells you, it gives us an idea of your constitution, how strong you are as an individual. And this person's constitution was significantly low. I mean, if we were to put it on a percentage, it was less than 5%. A percentage, of course, we know to 100, right? So 5%. And I showed her, I said, this is why you're so sick. Your biological terrain is significant. So the thing is, when your biological terrain is compromised, I will tell you the type of people we see very, very high biological terrain. And this is not necessarily for us to make a diagnosis, because I could always send you afterwards to do supplemental tests, and of course, everything remains private. But the thing is, you see it in people with severe arthritis. So let me tell you something. You have bad arthritis, you're always in pain, your foot hurting you can't walk it. You have serious biological terrain issues. That biological terrain is significantly compromised. If you have problem, and that is why she had all those issues. I said, so listen to me, you cannot get better, until we fix this here. And the point I'm making is that gave us the opportunity to determine how bad this person's biological terrain was. So we put on our program, we retested in 3 months, and then we saw some significant improvement. Then she went again, we retested 3 months after that, problem solved. Good. So in that particular instance, again, blood is very telling in the information that it gives, because the thing is, she went all over the place. I don't understand how she went to a doctor and nobody told her that she had a low blood count. I mean, even if they had run a complete blood count, you would have seen it. Of course, subsequently to that, I sent her to do supplemental tests because I wanted a TSH. So I sent her for TSH. We also looked at the erythrocyte sedimentation ratio, ESR, which is very, very important when you're looking at inflammation, because the inflammation was seen in the biological terrain aspect. But it was so telling there that I knew automatically if she did a blood analysis, if she did a blood test for an ESR, the ESR would have been significantly high. What is our ESR? As I said, erythrocyte sedimentation ratio. There's also something known as a C-reactive protein. And I respect all these tests. But what I love about a microscope and blood analysis is, listen to me, it strips you down to the basic. We're able to see everything there. And that is where you have past, present, and future. So feel free to give us a call or visit. Keep in mind, we have our open clinic days next week. We're going to have a consultant, of course, in all the offices. Dr. Batson, or myself rather, is going to be available in St. James next week. That's next week, Friday and Saturday. Shogunas is actually next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And of course, so that's Shogunas. It's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday for Dr. Batson. Of course, we have open clinic day every day in that office. For St. James, my schedule is going to be Friday and Saturday of this week. And of course, the next week, St. James is also going to have Monday and Tuesday as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. Those telephone numbers to call and locations. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. Because I did Shogunas, I know Shogunas. I sort of touched everybody. The only person, or office that didn't really get as yet is St. James. So that's what we're working on now. And of course, we alternate accordingly. Good. So for Shogunas, that telephone number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsamouch Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That telephone number is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That telephone number for St. James is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. And Tobago, of course, is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That telephone number for Tobago is 226-4553. That's 226-4553. You're listening to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson and Associates, where we support your health naturally. Right? We're discussing health, we're discussing the central nervous system. Of course, keep in mind it is an interactive program, so I'm going to go over to my good friend, Mr. Carter, in studio there and see if we have any questions. And of course, he could remind you of those contact numbers.
We do have someone on the line right now, so let me take that call.
Oh, good.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yes.
Was it something about the neuropathies, the diabetic neuropathy? We could use in the meantime before we can get to you?
Yes, no problem.
Or anything that you can.
Yes, my dear. Okay, good. No problem. You could listen off here. All right. From the home perspective, when you're dealing with neuropathy, okay, first of all, water. You all know that water is everything. Hydration is fundamental for the body after oxygen. So your hydration is important because we know, remember, blood is primarily what? Water, right? Blood is primarily 30% solid, about 70% liquid, which is basically serum, plasma, that type of thing. And of course, the solid components, red blood cells, white blood cells, that type of thing, right? Platelets. Good. So because blood is fundamentally liquid, then it means your water intake should be significantly higher than it's supposed to. We know the rule for drinking water, your body weight divided by 2 in ounces. From the home perspective, I like olive oil. Olive oil is a very good thing. Of course, the quality is very important. A teaspoon of olive oil every day could definitely give you some assistance with neuropathy. In terms of your teas, hot teas, of course, you have things like your ginger. Turmeric, I like, but I always tell people turmeric is a funny thing. You need to be very, very careful, simply because one of the components of turmeric, it can encourage bleeding because it is a blood thinner. So I always tell people an inch or maybe a half an inch, you grate that and you put it in some hot water, and we could live with that. And you do that maybe like about 3 times for the week, that type of thing. Now, keep in mind, if you are on medication, you need to be careful. So you can't be on aspirin and using turmeric. You're going to be in problems, right? So in that particular aspect, keep in mind, you're looking at about a half inch or a quarter inch, little bit. It's better you do a small amount than you do too much and you end up in problems. Good. What again you could do there? You're looking at exercise. Most important. if you are a person who may have situations with that particular neuropathy issue, keep in mind and make sure you have a good pair of sneakers, proper pair of sneakers, proper padding, everything in the sneakers, so that you actually able to do some sort of exercise. I hope you haven't reached the stage where you're almost immobile. I always hope that people don't end up in that situation, because you see, common sense may be for both. The longer you leave something without doing any sort of intervention, it's going to get progressively worse. And that's the thing with most people with neuropathy. They wait until the neuropathy gets so bad that your nerves literally, have seriously been compromised. And that's something you don't want to do. As regards to what we offer at Batson and Associates, circulation tea is actually very good. And it's not, that's not an expensive product. It's not, expensive is a relative term, but circulation tea costs money. I tell you so. And we have that in abundance now. I made sure I fixed that situation with those teas and all those things. So we know we're gonna have, we have in stock. What we're waiting on right now is advanced circulation, which is the liquid circulation product. And then we also have something known as balanced circulation. That's something that that had worked really well. It works very good with things like varicose veins, that pins and needles, that cramping in your calves, the burning under your feet. Very good for that neuropathy situation. So, that's something that, if you may not necessarily have coming for a consultation, at least there are some things that you could use without consultation, or maybe a minor or a smaller, for want of a better expression, consultation, because we want to make sure and dot our I's and cross our T's. And that's why, we do the blood analysis and we do the magnetic resonance analysis scan. As I continue the program, I'll enlighten you as to what that scan does. The accuracy of that is amazing. I've been using them for over 10 years now. Well, different ones, of course, we upgrade after as time goes by. But that neuropathy situation is something that you have to make sure and pay attention to. So feel free to give us a call. As I said, you have your circulation tea. Nerve restore is also very good. I remember having a client recently who challenged me. He said, I went all over the place, Dr. Batson, and, I get promises. And, I told him, I said, once you adhere, most important, once you listen to not the directives that is given, you're going to get the results. And so he said, I got results. And believe me, he was difficult in the sense that he was if he didn't get results, we'd have known. And he said, Dr. Batson, I get results. So, I'm impressed with what I'm seeing so far. And of course, we keep working along significantly. He's about 75% better, because he said it was so bad that when he was walking at times, he would not be feeling the ground. So if you know that is something you have, listeners of Sky 99.5, Trinidad and Tobago, check yourself now, please, because that is already a serious indicator of central nervous system being compromised. So make sure and check that out. We do have all the specials that we had before. So we have the 4-in-1 special, which is the executive consultation, live and dry blood, magnetic resonance analysis, and the foot detox. Now, the thing is, with that, we also have the pensioner special as well. So you can have your blood analysis done, and we get significant information to be able to help you to be a healthier you. And that's the most important thing, because the thing is, when you're looking at health, or like with everything, you must address the foundation. The foundation. If you're a house and the house leaning, roof starter thing, window, because the house is leaning, right? What you have to do? Fix the roof? No. Fix the window? No. Fix a door? No. You have to deal with the foundation. The foundation. And that is where people end up in problems. If you are a diabetic, well, even more so, you would want to be proactive in preventing neuropathy. I'll give you an example. We had a client who came to us, severe diabetes. Now, one of the things that I always tell diabetic people is that, and they get upset with me when I say this, because somebody went so fast to say, but Dr. Batson, you don't have diabetes, so how are you going to say that? When I told them diabetes is an easy thing to deal with, they say, well, you don't have it, so how you can say that? And they in their mind, they might be reasoning, but remember, I don't have to have what you have, or to have certain things to understand how you end up there. I don't have who you have to help you. But when you understand clearly what diabetes is, Trinidad and Tobago, it's not, you could imagine you reach a point where you have no legs, you have no toes, you lose your eyesight. Because as the caller rightfully said there, peripheral neuropathy. You see the peripheral circulatory system? You don't play with that because that's not playing with you. It is a system that if it is compromised, you're in real problem. You are the most uncomfortable, miserable human being to have. Ask all the people and them who have that neuropathy feeling, how they just feel. It is the most miserable, uncomfortable feeling. Because I have experience in time, like for example, you ever lie down on one of your hands or something. I remember time. Okay, it's like when you sleep and you sleep on one side and your hands start getting numb. Or maybe you sat down for a period of time or you was just doing something. And when you get up, you say your foot dead, as they just say. You could imagine you experiencing that on a daily basis. You can imagine how uncomfortable that is, how frightening that is, because you could be injured and you don't know you're injured. You know? That's the reason, that's one of the reasons for the central nervous system, you know. Those synaptic response and how, yeah. So if you don't have any sense of feeling, for example, and you're working in a kitchen, so you could get burned and you don't know you get burned, you know. Right? It's the same thing with neuropathy. You'll be out in a, look at the history, look at anybody who is an amputee or have one toe or piece of foot or anything like that. And I'm not saying it in that way to be facetious or condescending in any way, right? Look at people who like that and ask them the story. It's something, they was outside in the yard and nail choked them and they didn't know, or they was outside and they get scratched on something. And so it's always a simple story or a simple start to the problem. And had you not had neuropathy and have that record, that amount of stimuli that you're supposed to have to identify when something, you could imagine a whole nail gone in your foot and you don't know. That's madness. That's craziness. But that is to tell you how advanced the neuropathy is. So if you know you don't want that problem and you know your thing, as I say, we have the circulation tea, we have the alkagen water. That's a good start. As a man, I don't quote price for a number of reasons. I think it comes across as hustling. So that's why I don't do it. But the thing is you could make that. Don't sit down there and make you end up with a 1, 2, and a no, 2, and a no. That's madness. That's real craziness. And the point is, it could be avoided. Let me say a pleasant good day to Kerry Lachu. She said, "Good day, Dr. Batson. Could you take Santulan while taking women's formula and inflammation formula?" Yes, you can. So remember, your woman's formula is usually with either your breakfast or your AM mixture with your drink, which would be either the inflammation formula, which is 1 tablespoon in a glass of water in the morning and the evening. And your woman's formula is with breakfast. Your Santulan is on an empty stomach. Remember, Santulan is to be taken on an empty stomach. What is an empty stomach? Either an hour before a meal, 2.5, 3 hours after a meal. Usually, if you have real bad digestion, well, then it might be a little while. But we tend to fix that. And when you start to use Santulan, that's one of the things that Santulan does. Santulan actually helps with digestive problems because it's a 7-channel detox. So it detoxifies kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, lymphatic system, skin, and your lungs. So it means that with that particular cleanse there, you actually help in the circulatory system. That's one of the things that actually help for neuropathy. We had a lot of clients who use Santulan because one of the ingredients in Santulan is something known as persimmon leaves. And because of how it was combined with the marshmallow and this other thing, Nigella sativia, which is black seed, it actually helps significantly in the circulatory system. So it's very important that you check yourself before you wreck yourself. So those numbers again, Shabonas 2228261. That's 2228261. Debe is the corner of Ramsamud Trace and the SS Erie Main Road. In Debe, that telephone number for Debe is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. Shagonas is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Mr. Carter?
Yes, we have a couple of questions actually.
Good. So
Let's go to the first one. Good morning to Dr. Batson. My son has eczema all over his body, more so his arms and back. I used Monate S, but it comes back. What do you have to help and what can be done to help him?
did she give her age?
No, she didn't give an age.
Oh, that would help me out though. I mean, either way. Okay, the thing is, so eczema. Eczema is what? Eczema is primarily imbalance or inflammation in what is known as the integumentary system. So your integumentary system comprises your skin and its appendages. So you're looking at the dermis, epidermis, that type of thing, the different layers, and then of course the appendages. So your appendages would be hair, skin, hair, nails, those type of things. Anyone who has eczema, especially children, it is an indication of liver, kidney, gastrointestinal. Now, children can actually end up with eczema because of medication situations. While if a pregnant woman during pregnancy was on certain types of medication, that could also contribute to that situation. Okay? As to what to do, you're looking at there's a product we carry at Batson Associates called, well, first of all, water, important, hydration, everything. So the water intake of the child is vitally important. I mean, you need to watch things like the snacks and that type of thing as well, because remember, you already have an inflammatory situation, highly inflammatory. So it means you cannot add inflammatory foods to that, obviously. It's like a glass that you have or a bucket that's full of water and you just go throwing more water in it. What's going to happen? It's going to start overflow, right? So the thing is, your inflammation is actually going to begin to overflow. So you don't want to add more inflammation. So the diet is fundamental in that, less sugar. So things like your sodas, juice, you need to watch them with that. Try and use more fruits, greens, that type of thing in the diet. As I say, I don't know the age of the child, right? But if you could provide that, I could just sort of.
Yes, I just asked the they said he's actually 27 years.
Oh, right, yeah, big man. So in a case like that, yeah, he needs to watch the diets. If you're using things that are inflammatory, dairy, he's going to have to be very careful with. As regards to dealing with it, because the thing is, most eczema and skin conditions, steroids are what are recommended, whether internally, things like prednisolone, that kind of thing. But most of the creams are steroid, some percentage of steroid. Now, if you know me, I am not a fan of those things. I'm not a fan of it at all. In emergency, you have no choice in the matter. Well, then, take steroids in your waist because we're trying to save you. We don't want you to die now, right? But outside of emergency and crisis, no, you have to fix the problem. Fix the root cause of the issue, because what steroids do, they suppress inflammation. I always tell people that. They do not reduce it. It is suppressed. And in that suppression of the inflammation, if your diet is not correct, so you're doing the same thing and you're adding more inflammation, that's how you end up in crisis. All these people who have things like lupus, watch me, I tell people lupus is a walk in the park. I tell you that. But people with lupus and high inflammatory conditions like eczema, lupus, and those type of things, you have to dot your I's and cross your T's. You cannot play the fool with those things. Because once you do what you need to do long enough, you can reverse the situation. But notice what I said. Once you do what you need to do long enough, there comes in what I always tell people, that consistency and discipline will carry you way further than talent. You have to be consistent. Even if you're semi-consistent, if you give me 50% or 60%, we could work with that. But I hit me 5% and 2% and 1% and 0% now, and what are you doing? So in that particular case, silver with mineral formula, there's a particular product that we carry called, his hydration is important. So he should be drinking his body weight divided by 2 ounces in water. Very important. The silver with mineral formula for skin, boss. Let me I'll challenge you. Bring any child with any problem with breathing and asthma and sinusitis, and you notice I'm trying, the nose always snotty, they always had the cold. Always, every minute there's always a thing, a snot, and they always no. Easy fix. But you have to give the body what the body needs so that the body will give. What is a relationship? People don't understand how serious this relationship is. Your body will do what you want it to do, health-wise. But you have to give your body what your body needs. So you need to do what you need to do long enough to reach where you need to reach. Next question, sir.
All right, this is for Dr. Batson. What do you have to address macular degeneration? I had 4 Avastin injections, not
Jeez.
much improvement. Thank you.
Okay, good question. Excellent question. All right. So when we deal with macular degeneration, well, you have different types of macular degeneration. You have age-related macular degeneration, and you could also have macular degeneration. Diabetics tend to have a lot of problems with macular degeneration. Because remember, with diabetics, you have a serious high level of inflammation in the body. The tissues are very easily compromised. Circulation is compromised. So in the peripheral circulation, just as the question that the lady asked earlier, where she talked about peripheral neuropathy and peripheral circulation, when you're dealing with circulation in the cerebrovascular, which is the brain, you're dealing with the most amount of microcirculation in the body. Some of the finest blood vessels and the capillary network in the body is in your brain. So it means your eyes, anyone who has macular degeneration, the macula is a part of the eye that plays a significant role in vision, right? So when the macula degenerates, it interferes with your vision. Now, as regards to, there's a protocol that I have for eyes, or that we have for eyes. And what persons with eyes have to understand is that you need to, again, deal with the circulatory aspect. I would recommend IT. I would recommend there's an eye drop we carry called Eye Optics Formula. I'll explain what that does quickly. So I try to answer the question as thorough as possible. So anybody else listening to the question who may have the problem, you don't know exactly how it is you're going, right? That's why my explanation tends to be, as thorough as possible. So the thing is, you're not getting sufficient blood and oxygen to your eyes in the first place. To begin with, you're not getting sufficient blood and oxygen to your brain. So you have to fix that. Now, there's a scan we do called, as I said, the magnetic resonance analysis scan, right? Now, a lot of people do that scan, but a lot of people do not know how to interpret it. You see, the interpretation of things is where I don't want to say magic, but that's where the results come in, and that's why we have such an excellent record and track record with people that get better when they come to us, because we're thorough. So the thing is, you have to fix that. So you're looking at things like, again, your water, the alkagen water is going to help you. The IT helps with brain circulation, because the IT was specifically a tea designed to help to improve blood circulation in the brain and improve blood circulation in the eyes. Note, anything, or once you improve circulation in the body, you are going to start to get better. As I said, you just need to do what you need to do long enough to reach where you need to reach. Good. The circulation tea, there's a product we carry called Optimizer. Optimizer was actually designed for eye health, as well as the nerve restore. Nerve restore is primarily central nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, what is known as your autonomic nervous system. Because most people who have problem with sleeping, your autonomic nervous system is out of sync. What is your autonomic nervous system? That's this nervous system that is parasympathetic, sympathetic. So that controls a serious aspect. That has that's one of the most important aspect of your central nervous system, your autonomic nervous system. That's your flight or fight response, and that is important in a number of bodily functions. Bowel movement is actually a central nervous system function. Plenty of people don't even know that. So most constipated people, sometimes you could be drinking water, you have fiber, and you're doing everything, but you're still constipated because your nerves are what? Compromised. Now, nerves are people think that nerves cannot be fixed, or nerves cannot get back their function. That is not true. The only time nerves are very difficult to deal with is after surgical procedures, if they have damaged the nerves, or a burn victim. If you are burned, it is very difficult for those nerves to come back, because, of course, fire, heat it could destroy a number of things. But things like stroke and heart attack, and if it is, no, that could be corrected. But again, it's a matter of putting in the work. So for that particular situation with the macular degeneration, you're looking at eye optics formula. When you use eye optics formula does a few things. One, it improves circulation in your eyes. Two, it improves circulation in the cerebrovascular. So it's also improving brain circulation. It also is a detox for the eyes because you remember chemicals enter the body via your eyes, right? They enter your body ocularly. Chemicals enter the body in three ways, or poisons or toxins, however you want to call it. It enters dermally, which is through the skin. It also enters ocularly, which is through the eyes. And the next one is what? Respiratory, right? You inhale things. So in those particular instances, the eye optics formula actually helps to detoxify the eye. And of course, what I may need to, I don't know if you have other complaints like maybe diabetes or anything like that, then we would need to dot our I's and cross our T's where that is concerned. But definitely macular degeneration is something that I've gotten a lot of results with that. In fact, because people come to us and a lot of people before used to think that I was an eye doctor or eye specialist, but I am not. But I had done a protocol specifically for eyes because I'm a diabetic specialist and because of dealing with so many persons who are diabetic. Remember, most diabetics have what? Problems with their eyes. So that's why I was able to put together certain things and work with people for years and actually help them not to lose their vision. So in that particular instance, because the thing is with the injections, I am very, I know what the injections are. I know the ingredient profile. I know the science behind it. Am I in full agreement with it? No, because I find I wouldn't inject somebody eyes who have diabetes. I would not recommend that. Some ophthalmologists say that it doesn't do anything, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, and if you understand what diabetes is, especially how someone who has diabetes, how your tissue very easy to deteriorate because of the high amounts of inflammation in the body, I would not recommend injection or eye injection for people who have diabetes. It is something I do not like. Me personally, I mean, I have worked with people who have done injections and then subsequent to the injection, they came and we did what we needed to do and they got better. I have worked along with persons who have done specific things. I remember there's a diabetic client that I have from South. They used to always travel every 2 years and do the general checkups and whatnot. And they came to me because they were diabetic. And he said, Dr. Batson, I heard you on the radio talking about eyes. And my sister came to you and she had problems with cataracts and she got very good results. And I am a diabetic and I know his blood sugar used to be really bad, like 500 and something, I think. So he had some damage to his eyes. So I told him, I said, okay, here what we're going to do. You're going to start to use this. This is what you're going to use. And of course, you're going to check or whatever the case may be. And he used it. And of course, remember, he goes to do his medicals every 2 years. Excellent improvement. That has been my client for 10 years. No problem. His eye has not deteriorated. His diabetes has significantly, he doesn't use insulin again. Metformin maybe once every 5 days or some kind of thing like that. Significant improvement. But the most important thing, his eyesight did not deteriorate. All diabetics, if you're not in an integrative diabetic clinic, coming soon, your eyesight going to deteriorate. It's going to deteriorate because there are things that you have to do to prevent that from happening. And a lot of people don't know how to do those things. From the home front, what to use as regards to your eyes, I am always a big advocate of the use, as I said, of olive oil because of what it does as it relates to the body. So that's actually something you could use on the home end. With the eye optics formula, IT, star product, very good product. The optimizer is also very good as well. The omega with the astaxanthin is very good. Astaxanthin primarily because of what it actually does. And that combination that we have is a very good combination because I use it a lot with stroke patients. So it really does help the cerebrovascular. It helps to improve a number of aspects of inflammation in the body because it also naturally reduces, it does not suppress, it reduces inflammation. Two completely different words. If you get an Oxford dictionary now and you look at the meaning of reduce and you look at the meaning of suppress, you're going to realize what it is I'm saying. You do not want to suppress inflammation. Inflammation is not your friend. You cannot control it if you do not do the right things. When that inflammation gets very high, I dealt with a client recently. I sent them to do an ESR. After the consultant, I reviewed everything. I said, listen to me, you see this amount of inflammation I see here? I want an ESR. Your ESR is supposed to be, I think, 0 to 20, 1 to 20. You know how much this person was? 158. That is madness. And I explained to her, I said, ma'am, this is why you're this sick. And if we don't fix this, you will not get better. I said, that's why you're sick for years. You notice you're sick for 20 years? Nah, man. Nah, that's not that. Nah, that ain't right. I ain't right at all, at all, at all. So again, those telephone numbers, you could give us a call on 222-8261. That's 222-8261. That office is located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That is Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. We're also on the corner of Ramsamud Trace and the SS Erie Main Road in Debe. That telephone number for Debe is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That telephone number is 220-8113. Tobago is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number for Tobago is 226-4553. Again, that's 226-4553. For our international clients, to book online consultations, that telephone number, of course, area code 868-373-2388. That's 868-373-2388. Let me say a pleasant good morning to all our international clients getting some really good results out there in Canada, the United States, London, the Caribbean. Let me say a pleasant good morning to Miss Hurst out there in Antigua. Always listen to us. Miss Antoinette Smith asked the question. She says, good morning, Dr. Batson. Is there any natural remedies for urinary tract infection? There are some things that you could use, but you're going to need some additional things because depending on how bad that urinary infection is, and most people who get urinary tract infections, they get them frequently, especially women. Now, there are men who would get urinary tract infections if you hold up your urine, if you don't drink sufficient amount of water. Women usually tend to have it more, of course, based on anatomy and physiology and how female reproductive organs are designed. It means that UTIs are very easy to get. If you have them frequently, home remedy, you need to, you're looking at silver with mineral formula. You're going to have to use a nutrient-dense greens, anyone that we carry at Batson Associates. Inflammation formula is actually very good. And that's one of our most in-demand products because it reduces inflammatory response in the body, reduces, not suppress. So because of that, you tend to get some particular results in that particular aspect. Okay, over to you again, Mr. Carter.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how effective is the use of the formula for fibroids? Also, the doctor said, don't use anything because it can get worse. Please guide me on this.
Don't use anything as don't use anything as what? What they say? Don't use herbs? What they say? Where's anything? Tell that person to elaborate there for me. All right? Yeah, good. So as I speak, most likely they'll send the answer. Listen to me. And this is again me being very, let me be politically correct as I possibly can. Anyone who is telling you do not use anything, i.e. herbs, or anything natural to help yourself, be careful of that advice. I say it over and over and over again, and this is not to be disrespectful, but it's simply to state a fact. And the fact is that medical doctors, as good as some of them are, and as well as I respect some of them, they are not trained in nutrition, and they definitely don't understand nothing that I do. I can tell you that. I understand their work, right? You could bring any test for me. I'll read the test. Because I had to do Western medicine to a certain level to understand certain things. But I'll explain something to you. Fibroids, let me tell you what fibroids is, right? Fibroids are comprised of something known as fibrin. If you do research, you'll realize fibrin is a protein. Good? So fibroids are comprised of fibrin, different types of minerals. You could have some calcium inside of there. You could have some buildup of things like uric acid. Essentially, fibroids are rubbish. So the body doesn't have the ability, because what a lot of women don't understand, because of how your uterus is designed, women need to be very, very careful with themselves. You see, long ago, and the thing is, a lot of women now do not drink sufficient amount of water. Fibroids are caused by hormonal imbalance, okay? If you have too much estrogen, you're going to have fibroids. What causes excessive estrogen? Hormonal imbalance. What causes hormonal imbalance? Endocrine imbalance. Because your endocrine system is the glands, right? That's your thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, adrenal, all those glands. So the thing is, if your glands are not producing proper hormones, what are hormones? Hormones are chemical messengers. So the thing is, your body confused. Your body can't work properly. And you would find most women of African descent have fibroids. Why is that? Why? Because you're African or you have African descent. That's why you have fibroids? No. You have fibroids because African women are women who would do their hair the most. The most amount of chemical induce anything with hair is women of African descent, right? They straighten their hair, they do whatever they do. Every last one of those things have what in them? Specific chemicals that have the ability to do what? It has the ability to change your hormones. So because of that, you're going to get fibroids and you're going to get very big fibroids. If you are stressed out and your cortisol levels are very high, you're going to have fibroids. If you eat a lot of meat, especially commercial chicken, you're going to have a lot of fibroids. As regards to the effectiveness of what we have at Batson Associates, there are people who we have dealt with large fibroids. I don't know, 10 centimeter, 12 centimeter, 15 centimeter. They have no fibroids now. But what did they do? If you do what you need to do, when you're supposed to do it long enough, you'll get the results that you want. If you have fibroids, you cannot eat the people chicken. You cannot do it. Cannot. I know some of your face, your mouth long. Okay. I am not, you all know me by now. I'm not going to tell you what all you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. Women with fibroids, I need to be very disciplined. But you can get help. The uterine formula that we have, that product works. It works. Just recently, when I was in Tobago, I was doing a revisit with a client, and she said, well, the uterine formula had to be working. Because the thing is, when she brought the ultrasound, the last ultrasound that she brought, and the new ultrasound, the uterus had significantly decreased. So most women, ovarian cyst is the same thing. MR, how you pronounce it? Well, I think it's Mr. Oh no, Mrs. Swano. Yeah. Ovarian cyst is the same thing. Okay, so let me give you all an example how I could put this. Okay, so let's say we have a balloon, right? So the balloon is to blow a particular size. So let's say the balloon is supposed to be 10 inches in diameter, right? That is as wide as it's supposed to be. But the thing is, remember, it's a balloon, right? So the balloon have the ability to stretch, but you wanted to blow it up, just say 10 inches in diameter. So the balloon is a woman's uterus. But it is supposed to be 10 inches in diameter, but it is really now 15 or 20 inches in diameter. So in the case of 15, it's 5 inches more, and in the case of 20, it's 10 inches more. So the volume has increased, right? So there are women walking around with uterus that contains things in them that have caused the uterus to be bigger than normal. So just like that analogy with that balloon, the balloon is supposed to be 10 inches in diameter. You now have a bulky uterus, and your uterus is 15 or 20 inches in diameter. You're visibly understanding what it is I'm saying to you. So let me tell you something. When you have that, and women don't get fibroids overnight, very rare. There are instances with women who have fibroids overnight, unless you went and they give you these hormone treatments and that type of thing. Well, then it could be accelerated. Soy is something I do not use and I do not recommend for anybody. I am not using soy. Is a dangerous thing. What is soy? Soy is a phyto, which stands for plant, and it is a phytoestrogen. Why are you using phytoestrogen? You're not supposed to be using that. So it increases the estrogen levels in the body, and now you have a problem with fibroids. So fibroids can be gotten rid of. In my experience, there are a lot of women who came to us with fibroids who do not have any again. What I would say with fibroids, though, I'll be very honest with you, because of the complexity of what fibrin is, and it depends on the location of the fibroids, because you have 5 different types of fibroids, right? The intramural ones are the most troublesome ones, and intramural fibroids are in the wall of the uterus, them fellas is real trouble. That's the one that's getting pain when you get a period, you're rolling, you're balling, you're bleeding. That is the trouble one. Now the others are trouble. You have the pondulated, you have subserosal. There are 5 types in all. The point is, it takes some work, but we could get rid of them. But your diet is fundamental. A lot of women, I don't know if they beat all with chicken or like a slap of chicken or like a stuffy chicken, but you have to understand, if it is you're doing this for yourself. Because let me tell you something, when they surgically have to remove fibroids from you, there are 3 ways doctors can remove fibroids out of the body, and all is a bad way. There is none of them is a good way. None is good. If you would have done it already, well, we can't turn back the hands of time. The first one is a hysterectomy. That's what it is normally recommended. Hysterectomy. What is a hysterectomy? A hysterectomy is the surgical removal of your uterus. I feel sorry for any woman who have done that. Women would listen. There's somebody listening to this and say, what are you talking about? I do that and I good. You feel you're good. You feel you're good. The problem isn't ready to hit you yet. That's the problem with a lot of individuals. You do things. Your body is always self-sustaining. Your body is self-saving. Your body always tries to negate the nonsense that we just be doing sometimes because we be killing ourselves and don't know. So your body is always in self-survival and self-balance, self-equilibrium mode. It's always trying to correct nonsense that some of us deliberately do, as I said before. So the thing is, you have to do the work. And when you're dealing with 5, so what you're going to do, so you're going to surgically remove your uterus and your ovaries. Are you aware that your uterus plays a significant role in circulation? Your uterus is responsible for emulsifying fat. That's one of the things that your uterus is doing. So when you remove your uterus, the circulation in your lower extremities is compromised. I'll give you an example. Why do you think one of the side effects of a hysterectomy is hypertension? Yeah, they don't tell you that. But one of the side effects of a hysterectomy is high blood pressure. Now, it doesn't happen to everybody. But there are women, check yourself. If you're listening to this program and you do a hysterectomy, anybody who listening to me, is it that afterwards, 2 years after, 1 year after, 5 years after, you end up with high blood pressure? Where do you think that hypertension come from? Because you surgically removed an organ that plays a significant role in circulation. Let me explain something to you all. Basic thing. And always remember this. There is no organ that Almighty God or the Creator put in the human body that is useless. Don't let nobody fool you with that. Your appendix, important. Your gallbladder, according to my nephew, important. You hear what I'm saying? Your uterus, very important. Well, your ovaries, even more important. Why do you think that there are some doctors, depending on the doctor you go to, will try his or her best to do that surgery and leave your ovaries? You know why? Because women who remove their ovaries, especially if you check the years, if you look at history, and if there's one thing I've made sure I've done, is look at the history of medicine. I ain't saying I know everything, but I'm well read on that. From the beginning, from the founding of medicine, men like Hippocrates and people like when you look at the Ayurvedic and the Chinese and Oriental medicine, if you really study the history of medicine, look at when they started to do hysterectomies. The majority of those women is all in Europe and different parts of England and that type of thing. When they started doing hysterectomies, all those women went mad. They ended up in insane asylums because your ovary is a mental organ. That organ is not only a sexually reproductive organ. There's something known as body mapping in the human body. They don't teach Western doctors this, but we have to learn this. And mapping shows you the interconnection of all the organs in the human body. So don't let nobody fool you and tell you. If you don't have your gallbladder, I tell you you're miserable. If you do not have your gallbladder, you cannot assimilate oils or fat properly. So why are you going and take out your good gallbladder? Because you have gallstones? Look, man, get a tablespoon of olive oil, a tablespoon of Ruskin lemon, and you drink that every morning. Come and get some alkagen water, and you get some santulan. And go back and do the ultrasound and tell me if you have gallstones in there again. You do not remove your organs only in the case of emergency. There are people who would disagree with me. I have no problem with that. But God knows exactly what he do. He didn't make no mistake. Impossible. You can, let me tell you something. You ever have any chair? Okay, all of us have cars, right? Now you might have a car that ain't working good enough, but the car could carry you from point A to point B. But you know, it has some things you might have to fix on the car, right? I just say. The thing is, the car would work. The tires mightn't be thing, you might need to change a light. But the point is the car moving. But in the grand scheme of things, you're not as fully functional. The car is not as functional as you would like it to be. Your body is the same thing. It's the same thing. If it is, you leave things undone, it is just going to get progressively worse. The proverbial term where you push your, what they say, the ostrich, head in the sand. Yeah. He had in the sand, he see what's going on. So in his mind, well, perception is everything. So because you're not paying attention to it, it's not going away. And that's the problem with most women. If you have fibroids, do not take any advice from anybody and they tell you about, oh, fibroids, don't do nothing. Leave it there. Make some changes to your diet and get some advice and start to deal with yourself. Because those fibroids will only get bigger and bigger and bigger. And let me tell you what happens. Remember, fibroids is growth, is tissue in them. When that fibroids grow and it fuse, doctors will tell you in surgery, when doctors go into the human body, certain tissues can fuse to other tissues. When did you go? When the doctor go in there, or the surgeon, sorry, goes in there? If that is too difficult, they cannot take out. They're going to take out everything. They cannot, because surgically it is impossible for them to remove or separate it. It has been fused. You know what the word fuse means? It fused together. So a female like that, when you go inside of there, and watch me, I see some ultrasounds on some women already, and we helped them. It was very bad. So I say all of that to say that if you have fibroids, ladies, you have some work to do. You have some work to do. Your diet is fundamental. And the bigger those fibroids are, depending on what we have to use, it's going to, yeah, you have some work. You have some work to do. But I prefer, if it's me personally, I prefer to do work than let them put a knife on me. I'm telling you. They could do something called an embolization. Embolization is when you cut the blood vessel that leads to the fibroid. You ain't do nothing there. It's good. The fibroid's going to come, going to grow. And next one, and next thing is because you have other fibroids. And then the one that you have there, sometimes when you do an ultrasound, they tell you that the fibroid is degenerating. You know what I mean? It no longer has a blood supply, so it's basically getting what? Hard and dry inside of there. You don't want that there. What do you want that in there for? That's like you have a mango seed inside of you. You don't want that there. Because it degenerates. No, we don't want, you don't want no degenerating, nothing staying inside of you. And that is how people end up in those type of problems. The next thing they can do when it comes to fibroids, they can do something known as a myomectomy. So a myomectomy is when they go in and actually take out the fibroid itself. But problems again, because it is going to grow back because your diet has not changed. And you're now prone, because the tissue in the uterus is very tricky tissue. Very, very tricky tissue. Okay? Those telephone numbers again quickly for Shogunas. That Shogunas number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramson Road Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That telephone number is 223-7515. Let me say something quickly. I'm getting a lot of questions, like real plenty questions on Facebook, a lot of questions on YouTube. Not YouTube, sorry, Instagram. As I said, I'm doing a live tonight. That live I'm going to be doing with Miss Ramdan. So we'll do that as a question and answer, because Miss Teresa Richards is not like I'm not answering your question, my dear. And the amount that I see everyone giving me here, but I'm going to have to deal with those later tonight. Okay, Carter, over to you, sir.
All right. Someone has a daughter who's 7 years old,
Mhm.
and the daughter seems to have a ringworm close to her elbow area. She says that she's currently using Microgel F. She wants to know if she should continue to use this, or do you recommend something else?
And it's a ringworm for a child that is how old? 7 years?
7 years old.
And
Yes.
the ringworm is where they said, by the elbow?
Yeah, close to the elbow.
Well, the thing is, that product I do not know off the top of my head. But I don't know if it was recommended by a doctor, if it's something that she went and bought, but I'm sure it's something that was purchased under some sort of advice or some sort of information. So I would suggest you use it for a while and see how it goes. But keep in mind, any sort of issues with skin is not only topical that it has to be dealt with, it has to be dealt with, it has to be dealt with internally as well. Because remember, as I was explaining earlier, the integumentary system, anything like rashes and eczema and all those things, also internal, needs to be taken into consideration. So I would use out what it is you purchased there, observe it, and if you get improvement, well, okay, good, fine. If not, then you're going to have to tackle it from the internal aspect of as well. So I don't know when was the last time the child got a detox. Children could actually use Santulan. We just lower the dosage. So a child could maybe use 4 ounces depending on the age. So let's say you're dealing with a child maybe 4 years or 3 years to about 8. I would recommend 4 ounces of Santulan. And then when you're going up, anything higher than that, you're looking at maybe about 8 ounces is okay every other day. But based on the age and whatnot, and once you do the consultation or you get the information from the office, we'll be able to advise you accordingly. So finish out using what you're using there. And as I said, look at it. And then if it's still there, well, then definitely internally, you're going to have to take some measures there to address that.
Good morning. I did a CBC last year, June. We took another CBC last week, and 2 red flags occurred. These are the comparatives. HGB from 11.53 to 11.05, and the HCT from 34.8 to 32.7. Is this due to all of iron and vitamin B12?
Possibly, but not necessarily always the case. The thing is with blood analysis, not blood analysis, sorry, with blood tests, especially if you're doing CBC, where they're looking at things like your hemoglobin, and if you're seeing decrease in it, one of the issues is that a lot of people do assimilate foods properly. Now, the thing with iron does not come in isolation. Nothing comes in isolation in nature. You may have foods that are high in iron, but iron is not the only component. And the reason for that is that all foods have what in them? Enzymes, right? Enzymes are very important for assimilation and that type of thing. So as it relates to that, what I would suggest is that you should monitor it. And in working with the blood, you deal with the blood in its entirety. One of the things I also do as well with persons when I'm dealing with people who may have low blood count, people who maybe have things like thalassemia, sickle traits, and those type of things, is that I do the protocol is done in such a way that we do work on the bones, because remember, all red blood cells are produced where? In your bone marrow. So the healthier the production area, or the healthier the production, the healthier the blood cells. Good? Common sense maybe for book. So it's a matter of that. What I could say, anyone who would have done blood analysis by us, anyone who would have done those variant types of tests, we actually would be able to pinpoint the inflammatory response. You notice I'm always talking about inflammation, because that has to be addressed in the body in order to bring about that particular change. Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Batson. I know you carry laminin, which is, I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is a very good product. What would you say it is good for, and do I take this after a cleanse?
Yeah, you could take it after a cleanse. There are actually some things that you could take with cleanses. You know what people don't understand is that there are timings, and that's how we schedule. When you come to Batson and Associate, you're given a protocol, you know. So you will be told that you have to drink this at this time. I try to make it easy because there are some things that could be mixed together and they wouldn't show off the benefit or interfere, or with, there's no negative interaction, right? As regards to that particular situation there, when you Carter, just do me one favor. Because I was talking and I got distracted with something I saw on Facebook there. Somebody said something to me. Just repeat the question one more time for me.
I know you carry laminin, which is a very good product.
Okay, good.
What would you say it is good for, and do I take this after cleanse?
Okay, good, right. yes, you can take it after a cleanse. As regards to what it's good for a lot of things. I love that product. It helps with stem cells. What are stem cells? So all cells in your body before they got differentiation, they were stem cells, or what is known as base cells. So your heart cell, before it was a heart cell, was a stem cell. Your kidney cell, same thing. The thing is, all cells carry a number of different things, right? Cells have different frequency and that type of thing. So what laminin does is, from a supplemental perspective, it actually helps to increase stem cell production in the body, because stem cells, we lose stem cell production as we tend to get older. Our stem cells, a lot of them become dormant. So what the laminin actually does is find those stem cells, rejuvenate them, and send them to the part of the body that needs the most amount of work. Now, remember one of the points I made earlier, I said that your body is self-sustaining. It is also always striving to maintain or to attain and maintain homeostasis, which is balance. So in that particular case, I remember there was someone that they have, because the inflammation formula actually has some aspect associated with that. There are a number of products that I carry that deal with stem cells, because I know how important stem cells are. And, in helping my clients, I want them to get the best results. So definitely that's a win-win situation. And that is what it does. It rejuvenates dormant stem cells in the body, and it works on the body that needs help the most. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you have 10 problems. So you might be diabetic, you're hypertensive, you have poor circulation, you have acid reflux, you have arthritis. I'll go with 5. When we start to work with you, the body, you have to understand, the body is now in a point of realignment, readjustment. It's finding back its balance. So what it is going to do is going to deal with the organ systems that are fundamental. You see, the difference with integrative medicine is that integrative medicine takes a number of things into consideration, but what it takes primarily into consideration is the root cause. You remember there was a time I did a program where I talk about hypertension, and I talk about secondary hypertension and primary hypertension. Do you know that there are a lot of people walking around and did not know that they have secondary hypertension? And I think that was irresponsible of the doctors. The thing is, secondary hypertension, is as a result of a primary cause. So you have to find the root cause, and that is where the blood analysis comes in, where the magnetic resonance analysis comes in. Because what we do is, in mapping, we would now be able to determine what is causing your problem. If you have 100 dominoes and you push down the dominoes, what we call the domino effect, in order to get those dominoes up, to pick up dominoes, which domino do you pick up first? So I'll ask that question again. You have 100 dominoes, you push down the 100 dominoes, so all the dominoes fall. We know how dominoes are organized, right? If you have to pick up those dominoes, which domino do you pick up first? Do you pick up the last domino, or do you pick up the first domino? You pick up the first one. The reason you pick up the first one is because the problem started there. That's the only way. You can't pick up the last one. All the other dominoes resting on the last domino. So the last domino is your symptomology, That's the high blood pressure, that's the diabetes, that's the acid reflux, that's the fibroids, that's the hump, that is the polycystic ovaries, that is the blocked arteries. That is what that is. Your first domino is your cause. Gastrointestinal problem, malabsorption, leaky gut syndrome. That's a whole program. That's about a 15 program by itself. There are a lot of people, your gastrointestinal system is compromised. You have ulcers, you have malabsorption, you have leaky gut syndrome. You cannot get better. Nobody with leaky gut could get better unless you fix that leaky gut. And that's one of the things that we do at Batson Associates, because we train to deal with gastrointestinal imbalances. Acid reflux, bloating, gas, even people with irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, diverticular. I just feel so sorry for some of it. But some of it are going to even sorry for themselves. Because all you're going to get to fix that is prednisolone. Well, I think prednisolone is the most recommended drug in the world. Because it does what? It deals with inflammation. But keep in mind, it is a plaster for a sore. It's only so much prednisolone you can know. Any good doctor would not give you prednisolone. unless it is absolutely necessary. They give that like sweetie now. But that has serious consequences. There's something known as steroid-induced diabetes. There's also something known as steroid-induced blindness. When you have pain, real bad arthritis, pain, and you go by the doctor and he bust an injection and you come out, you're walking, you're happy, pain gone. Check yourself 3 months after. That pain is amplified about 10 times the amount. You know why? Steroids in your waist. It is a temporary plaster for a sore. You are putting yourself in problem. Now, you don't have to, there are a lot of doctors going to disagree with that. You know? But there's something known as steroid-induced diabetes. I didn't make up that. You could go and research it. They have done clinical studies that show that. There's something known as steroid-induced blindness. Those things damage your eyesight after a while. Check anybody who had asthma for years. Look at the condition of the eye. Half of them can't see again. Because the steroids, which is used for asthma, all those pumps and things, what do you think you have inside of that? Steroids. But some of you all prefer to use that because you're greedy and you don't want to stop drinking milk and you don't want to stop eating cheese to help your sinus and to help your asthma. So take your steroids. The weight gain that you will experience from that alone is traumatic. And apart from that, what happens when you use steroids for extended periods of time, the weight that you get is out of balance, because the way your body grows is that your bones have to grow together with the rest of your body, you know, because remember, your musculoskeletal system is what supports what? Your weight. So when you use steroid, you put on more weight, so the increase is much faster, and the musculoskeletal system has to play catch up. So that's why you end up with arthritis and your bones being damaged and that type of thing, because you're putting on too much weight and the musculoskeletal system cannot catch up. Because remember, your bones now, it's like if you build a house. So if you build a house that has a one story, so the foundation is for 1 story. You get some money and you decide, okay, you want to do a 2-story. Could you put a 2-story on that foundation? Common sense maybe for book. Of course not, you can't do that. So it's the same thing. You now have a 2-story building on a foundation that is designed for a 1 story. Simple common sense. And that is how you end up in those type of problems. So I know our time is very close. Let me, of course, give those telephone numbers. Carter, do me a favor. Just give me a time check then, please, as to when we finish them. 11:30?
Yeah, 11:30.
Okay, good. Right. So,
you can go to 35.
All right, good. No problem. All right. So again, those telephone numbers, feel free to give us a call or visit. For the Shogunas office, that number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. For the Debe office, we are on the corner of Ramsey Mood Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That telephone number is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That telephone number for St. James is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. Tobago, of course, is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number for Tobago is 226-4553. Again, that's 226-4553. Keep in mind our open clinic days. We have open clinic day in every office, which means we would honor and welcome walk-in clients because there's a consultant in each of those offices. What you can do, I know, I have to apologize for Saturday, but I know we had someone who wasn't well. Well, not that they wasn't well, my apologies. They had some family emergency. So I know there's someone who came and they left Shogunas and they went to Debe. Okay, but generally we always have a consultant in that office. And of course, as it regards to my schedule for the open clinic days, next week, please God, for Shogunas, which is going to be the 23rd and the 24th. That's going to be my clinic day for Shogunas, as well as St. James is going to be the 26th. I believe Debe is supposed to be the 27th. And of course, the 27th. And of course, Tobago is actually going to be the 29th and the 30th. That is it. I have a calendar in front of me now. My apologies. So keep that in mind. But of course, you can always call and we're going to actually post those up for you guys. and you'll be able to take advantage of that. That telephone number again for the Shogunas office is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsey Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That telephone number is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That telephone number is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. Tobago is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That telephone number is 226-4553. Remember, Tobago now has its blood analysis and magnetic resonance analysis scan. We just scheduling, putting certain things in place in that office. We're doing some training and whatnot because, of course, juggling. But we put those necessary things. So what we'll do, we'll have consultants there, they do the blood, they do the scan, and then the days that I come, I would basically review as we are accustomed doing. All right, for our international clients, that telephone number is 868 Trinidad's area code, then 373-2388. Again, that's 1-868-373-2388. Remember, we are live on our social media platforms. And of course, to get more information, know where we are, who we are, what we do, that social media, we are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. On YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. And on TikTok, it's Dr. Batson. Keep in mind that live that we are having tonight, it is going to be from 8 to 9:30. So it's going to be an hour and a half. And I will have my special guest, Ms. Karishma Ramdan, who is one of the consultants that we have at Batson and Associates. She will be joining me. And of course, you can get that necessary information. For the international client, again, that number is 868-373-2388. Someone had asked her again. Yes, Mr. Carter, over to you. So I don't know if we could take some questions again before we finish up.
Yes, most certainly. Can you explain further as to why you can get high blood pressure after removing your uterus and how to prevent this from happening?
Okay, good. That's actually a great question. The thing is, all women who would have done hysterectomies, you should do some sort of preventative protocol, and there's dietary wise and everything to prevent worsening situation. Okay, so the thing is, based on anatomy and physiology, you have two aspects of circulation, but primarily two aspects. Pulmonary circulation is above your heart, systemic circulation is below your heart. So it literally operates on top, below. Now, there's something known as pulmonary hypertension, which is like one of the worst forms of hypertension to have. Now, as regards to the uterus, one of the purposes of the uterus is for the emulsification of fat, right? And that's one of the reasons why when most women start to use birth control, one of the side effects of birth control is what? Blood clots, poor circulation, because of what it does to the hormones and how it interferes with the uterus and those type of things. So, it plays a significant role with that. So what I recommend to someone like that is do your things like a circulation tea, drink your olive oil, a teaspoon of olive oil, you get good olive oil. I'm telling you, Trinidad and Tobago, you're in the game. But you have to do, that's my new saying now, what you need to do when you need to do it long enough, and you're going to get the results that you're looking for. So as relates to that, that is so many things that a female could do. Work on your circulation. You have things like your circulation tea, your alkagen water. From the home aspect, your olive oil. Exercise also is a very good thing. You could do some brisk walking. One of the things you could also do as well with women, I tell them the castor oil. That castor oil, where you actually do the hot packs, that's actually a very good thing because what it does, it breaks up inflammation and it increases circulation. You see the reason? Let me tell you something. Circulation or poor circulation encourages something called necrosis. Now, necrosis is a term for decay in the body. Necrosis of so it causes what's the word I want to use, boy? It causes serious disintegration of your cells. In fact, cancer is actually an advanced form of necrosis. So when it is you're dealing with cancer, colorectal cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, whatever type of cancer, all it really is necrosis, advanced necrosis in different parts of the body. And that is one of the things that you have to pay attention to. So that's what women would have to do. Women's formula is also a very good product for women who have done hysterectomies because it actually helps as an alternative form of hormone replacement therapy. Because once you remove your uterus, you go into automatic menopause. And if you remove uterus and ovaries, well, God help you, you're in real problems there. But that is one of the things that we do. We do deal with PMS and any sort of post-menopausal issues and that type of thing. Okay, next question, Mr. Carter.
Right, can you kindly ask Dr. Batson what should be done for both knees collateral ligament tears?
Repeat that, sorry.
She wants to know what can be done for both knees. She has collateral ligament tears at the both knees.
Whoa. Yeah, some work to do there, boy. I don't know what type of weight the person carry. Is a female, sorry? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how weight. If she could provide that quickly, that would help me. If you do have some weight, but then again, you're getting problem, your knee hurts and you can't really walk properly. What you're going to have to do, you're going to have to pre-order. There's a product we carry at Batson and Associates called, it's a collagen product, but here the difference of this collagen. This is collagen and hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid. But in terms, most collagen is a large molecule. So the body doesn't really absorb collagen like that. But this collagen is a hydrolyzed collagen and hyaluronic acid. So because it is hydrolyzed, the molecules are smaller and the absorbency is going to be higher. So we're going to have to do some work because we have to put some things to help the body heal faster than normal. Now, in sports medicine, one of the things that we learned when we're dealing with athletes and that type of thing, remember, athletes are always prone to injury. So one of my training is sports nutrition, which is nutrition to cause the body to heal faster than normal. So we could actually not trick the body, but give the body ample nutrition where it speeds up recovery. So we're going to have to do a protocol for you with that. And you're going to have to maybe provide some more information for me as regards to your weight, if you're on any other medication, that type of thing. Miss Joanne Howell asked the question. She says, I have serious inflammation in my joints. How can I take the castor oil? I even use the circulation tea from you. Okay, good. She says, it's a pleasure listening to you. The thing is, when you're dealing with severe pain, joint pain, again, you have work to do. The joints and the musculoskeletal system in the body is an entire ecosystem in its own. You have osteocytes, you have different cells in the bones, you have things like ligaments, tendons, you have synovial fluid. All those things comprise the musculoskeletal system. Now, everything I just mentioned there, even under injury, because some people have sports injury and different injury, could be corrected once it is you give the body, again, what the body needs to rebuild itself. Some persons aren't going to be more serious because the level of injury and your age has to be taken into consideration as well. But the thing is, don't ever let age stop you, because the thing is, when you're older, you may take a little longer to heal. But the thing is, once you do, there are actually things that you could use to help the body heal faster than normal. That's what clinical nutrition teaches us, right? So that's something that you need to give us a call. You may have to come in and do a consultation. If you have mobility challenges, well, then the ground floor offices would be the better one, which would be St. James and Davie, until we finish Londonville. And of course, because Shogunas is our first floor, you might be able to come up there. All right. Keep in mind, we have our open clinic day, and those going to be upcoming and constantly upcoming. The days for Dr. Batson, of course, is going to be announced, and so that you would be able to take advantage of that. And we will actually starting our clinic days earlier. Well, Dr. Batson clinics days earlier. So, of course, we'll be able to facilitate more persons and that type of thing. So, as usual, it's always a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you so very much to the listeners of Sky 99.5. Mr. Carter, so always a pleasure. As we always say at Batson and Associates, if you think health is expensive, try sickness. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So we have those products in stock. We have our Nerve Restore, we have Santulan, our Alkagen water, optimizer. If you're having problems with your eyes, definitely check out our eye optics formula. You would not regret it. Some excellent results clients getting from that. Keep in mind, again, those open clinic days, you do not necessarily have to have an appointment, but you can walk in if you have intentions of doing your blood analysis, doing your magnetic resonance analysis scan. Then you need to fast for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Those numbers again for Chaguanas, 2228261. David is 2237515. St. James is 2208113. And Tobago, of course, is the Triangle Building in Scarborough. Tobago, that's 2264553. Remember, tonight we'll be doing a live. We'll be live on our social media platforms. We are Batson Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson Associates TT. On YouTube, we are Batson Associates Trinidad. And on TikTok, it's Dr. Batson. So feel free to join us tonight, where we'll answer some of your questions. I'll be joined, by Ms. Karishma Ramdan, and that program is going to be from 8 to 9:30. God bless you guys. Do enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Carter, sir, until next week. Take care.
Yes, ma'am. Take care.
For the best healthcare experience, come to Batson and Associates. Record.
Yes, my social media clients. So you all have a lot of questions here. So Ms. Ramdan has a job because she's going to be working with me this afternoon, and we're going to have some questions that we're going to answer. I'll try and take some of these questions that we have here, and I will elaborate a little more on them. You all know when I'm on the radio, it's difficult to deal with the radio, and especially based on the amount of information. Okay, guys. So keep in mind again those open clinic days. Remember our programs on Tuesday. We are on Isaac 98. The promise is 98.1, right? 98.1. And then Thursday, of course, we have our list of programs, djmamuradio.tt.com. He's from 2:15 to 3:15. We have Freedom 106.5 FM, that is 1:15 to 2. And we have 103.1 FM, which is 11:05 to 11:25. So a lot of information there, guys. So as usual, take advantage of those open clinic days that we're having. Dr. Batson is going to be in St. James next week. I'm now actually looking at the calendar and realize that I need to correct something, but I'll have to talk to the office about that. I'm in in Chaguanas Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. I'm in St. James on Friday, God's willing. Saturday, I am supposed to be in Davie. I was saying that. And Tobago, I actually forgot that next week was that. So Tobago is actually Monday, Tuesday. So we're going to fix it. We're going to do what we need to do, guys. Okay? Okay, yeah, Garcia James is saying, what happens to a fibroid when you're going into menopause? When you're going into menopause, let me answer this quickly. The fibroid is supposed to degenerate, but because of the dietary aspects of people, they tell you a lot of times it doesn't necessarily degenerate if you do not do what you're supposed to do in order for it to degenerate. Okay? But we will discuss those further this evening. So again, we are starting from 8 and we will finish, God's willing, by about 9:30. 10 for the latest. I'll have Ms. Ramdan with me, so maybe the little rapport and thing we'll be able to go a little longer for you guys. Okay, so God bless. Enjoy the rest of all this Sunday. Remember, eat some salad today. Not too much macaroni pie. Half the pie, more salad. Okay? God bless and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.